Hello from the Ophthalmologist and welcome to our first Rising Stars event. For 10 years, we have been honouring the most influential people in the field with our annual Power List, arguably the single biggest media event in the ophthalmology calendar. This year, we expanded the roll call with the Power List Hall of Fame, highlighting those Power Listers who have had the most significant impact on eye care over their careers. Now we extend the scope of the Power List to ophthalmologists and scientists who are at an earlier stage in their journey. The Ophthalmologist Power List Rising Stars programme creates a connection between the luminaries featured on the Power List and in the Hall of Fame, with individuals who are making waves in the industry, despite their relative youth. Each of our candidates has been nominated by one or more of the Power List alumni. This shortlist was then honed by our editorial team to create the final lineup, 10 rising stars who are following their own paths, building on the work of their mentors and forging new connections to advance the world of ophthalmology. We will follow our rising stars as they navigate their way through the field, keeping a close eye on their achievements and welcoming their input as the ophthalmologist embraces a new generation of experts and leaders. Our roster of candidates will grow each year as we continue to seek out and celebrate these stars of the future. So now it is my privilege to introduce the Ophthalmologist 2023 Rising Stars. Please join us in congratulating them on their success and in anticipating their next career steps with excitement. In this interview, we speak with 2023 Rising Star Arjan Hura.
I'm a refractive, cataract, and anterior segment surgeon at the Maloney-Shamie-Hura Vision Institute in Los Angeles, California. But I actually spent most of my life, almost 3 decades, in Ohio. So I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's where I did my master's program, medical school, ophthalmology residency. I went to Ohio State University for undergrad and also did my intern year in Columbus. And then I finished my Grand Ohio tour with a fellowship, a private practice fellowship in refractive and cataract surgery under Bill Wiley and Shamik Bafna in Cleveland, Ohio. My current practice is exclusively dedicated to refractive and cataract surgery, sort of the entire spectrum, and really just offering patients as much of a boutique, high-touch, premium patient experience as possible. My interests involve research, clinical trials, collaborating with industry, and really just trying to do more good than just take care of the patients in front of me, but helping push forward ophthalmology as a profession so that I can benefit generations of patients who will long come after my life is over. It's interesting to think about where my career is right now, considering it takes almost 30 years of schooling to become a physician, to become a surgeon in the United States, a decade of medical school residency, a fellowship if you're going to do that, to become an ophthalmic surgeon. And so I'm certainly towards the beginning of my career. The tunnel has just ended. I've emerged into the light. And I hope that, if I look back at this video 30, 40 years from now, I will reflect and feel that I was able to contribute to ophthalmology, whether it's through research, clinical trials, really just help advance the profession. My clinical interests specifically revolve around figuring out a way to maybe reverse cataractogenesis, helping develop maybe an IOL that's as good as the natural human crystalline lens, and to help advance laser correction at large as well. And so these are sort of the thematic elements to what gets me fired up, what gets me passionate about what I do on a day-to-day basis. And so when I'm looking at collaborating on research or working with industry or in clinical trials, these are the sort of things I'm looking at. I also hope that by the end of my career, I can look back and say, I was able to raise some kids who are a force for good in this world and who will continue to do good for society long after I'm gone. Yeah, great question. So ophthalmology was actually never on my radar. I really loved neurobiology, neurophysiology in high school. That was a combination of AP biology and AP psychology classes that I was taking at the time. So I actually applied to medical school thinking I was going to be a neurologist. And I spent the first 2 years of medical school heavily shadowing neuromuscular disease doctors, neurologists in the epilepsy monitoring unit. And it was really wonderful to see what they were doing. But really, when it came down to it, at the end of the day, I felt like it was kind of that classic stereotype people have of neurologists where they're able to diagnose something. But it's very hard sometimes to treat neuro conditions because there's just not a lot of good treatment regimens that exist. And so I just felt like I wasn't hands-on enough with the patients, and I was looking for that. So I explored a vast array of different medical and surgical subspecialties. And it was kind of by chance that I stumbled upon ophthalmology. it was actually when I was interested in my neuroblock in the cranial nerve lectures that I met Carl Golnick, who was the chairman for ophthalmology at the University of Cincinnati at the time when I was a medical student. And so just based off of those lectures and sort of a mutual acquaintance, I was able to set up an unofficial 2-week elective with him over winter break when he wasn't being bombarded with requests for shadowing from medical students and ophthalmology residents and neurology residents and optometry residents. And so I spent 2 weeks with him and just learned really how to do an amazing neuro-ophthalmic exam. It's really an art form that he has, that he's able to just simply convey expansive neurologic concepts succinctly to patients. And the first time he taught me how to use a slit lamp, the first time I used that 90 diopter lens and I saw that optic nerve sort of hovering in the air in 3D, I just knew, something inside me that this was the field for me. I'm a huge tech nerd. I've always loved technology from a very young age. So I love the fact that I get to use lenses, lasers, get to do microsurgery. And the fact that ophthalmology, especially refractive and cataract surgery, is so much so on the cutting edge for any medical and surgical field. Every year there's new IOLs that come out. Every few years there's new developments in laser. We're seeing amazing advancements in gene therapeutics, sustained drug delivery across other areas of ophthalmology. It's just a wonderful field, and I feel that patients are very grateful for care for their eyes and vision. So it's gratifying as well. I love what I do. Well, gosh, that's a hard question to answer because I have to sort of be a purveyor of the future, and I don't have a crystal ball. Things evolve rapidly. There's companies or technologies that emerge that people think are going to be the next big thing, and then either maybe the results don't pan out clinically, or maybe there's some issues on the back end with financing, and then the company falls through. So I've learned to just not try and, hatch on to one thing and just try and go with the flow and stay true to the things that interest me. So for me, that's refractive and cataract surgery, lens-based surgery, corneal-based surgery, whether that's laser vision correction or with phakic IOLs or IOLs. And so when I see innovation or development in those spaces, I pay attention because I think when you love what you do, you're curious about what you do. And I think just staying abreast of any changes or any new ideas that are coming about, that just keeps me informed. So if I come across a patient who's maybe that 1 in 10,000 patient who could benefit from this new novel therapeutic or new technology, I'm at least aware of that and I have a sense of how to get that technology to the patient. But then I think just when you find something you're interested in, it's a lot easier to reach out and see if there's an opportunity to collaborate, as opposed to necessarily trying to come up with ideas and predict what's going to come next. So I think really advancements come through collaboration. It's not a one-man effort at all. You look at all of the massive advancements that have taken place in refractive surgery. It's not just one man, one woman who's come up with ideas. It's been a constant evolution throughout the decades with collaboration, both domestically and internationally, that's really helped push forward the field of refractive surgery. So my job, my role, I view, is to take as good care of patients as I can, but then also just to stay informed, continue to travel, continue to teach, continue to give back. And I think when you do all of those things, opportunities, luck, chance align, and I'm confident, I'll be able to fulfill my goal, hopefully, of making ophthalmology better than I found it when I'm done with my career. I think there's a lot of exciting things taking place right now that sort of indicate maybe where things are headed. So, for example, in the realm of cornea, we have cultured injectable endothelial cells that can be put into the anterior chamber. I think that's going to be very significant. In the world of retina, sustained drug delivery, gene therapeutics, that's really something that's coming more and more into the forefront. The realm of glaucoma, I think there will continue to be advancements and innovations in MIGS, in novel therapeutics, medications, and also neuroprotection. And then, of course, in my realm of refractive and cataract surgery, I'm very curious and interested in following lenticular addition and subtraction, refractive indexing, phakic IOL, future iterations of those, as well as post-operative adjustable IOLs, and then also modular IOLs, accommodating IOLs, sort of what we viewed as maybe the holy grail of lens implants. I think we're going to be entering that era very soon in the next 5 to 10 years. So there's a lot of really exciting things actively being developed right now that I think are going to become prominent in the next 10 to 15 years. And I think then future advancements are going to be based off of the triumphs and failures of sort of what's in development now. As things pan out, as the dust settles, we'll see what's really working and what's not, and then we'll sort of go back to the drawing table and go from there. I have been really lucky and blessed to train under many amazing surgeons, world-renowned ophthalmologists, both in Cincinnati and in Cleveland. And so I would say the most memorable highlight thus far, I guess there's two. One was in training, which was doing a refractive and cataract fellowship under Bill Wiley and Shamik Bafna. That was really an opportunity to do exactly what I'm passionate about and what I love. And so that was literally day in, week in, 4 or 5 days in the OR a week, whether that was doing cataract surgery, refractive lens exchange, phakic IOL surgery, SMILE, LASIK, PRK, PTK cross-linking, just the whole spectrum of refractive surgery. And that was a practice that is heavily involved in clinical trials and research. So there was the opportunity there to collaborate with industry as well, to work on research products, but mainly it was just the energy of the practice, there wasn't a day that ever went by where myself or Bill or Shamik, we weren't talking about some idea or some new surgical instrument maybe we could put together. There was just this air of curiosity, of love for the profession and wanting to give back and make it better. So that was a transformative year in Cleveland, Ohio, probably the zenith of my ophthalmic training. But then, of course, the other highlight had to be able to take that skill set that I developed and actually actualize it and put it into practice. So being able to join Robert Maloney and Mentorship here in Los Angeles, to be able to be in a sort of very well-regarded, esteemed, reputable private practice, it has been really just the opportunity of a lifetime. So I love working with Robert and Netta. We have a lot of big plans for the future, and I'm excited for what's to come. Yeah, this was an interesting question, because I think some people, you grow up as kids and you have a childhood hero, and maybe that's an athlete or a musician or an actor, and you want to be like them one day. I've always kind of been the person where, I look at people in various aspects of society and different professions, and I like to pick and choose little aspects of what they're doing that I like and sort of put them all together. But within the world of ophthalmology, I would say undoubtedly, if I had to choose an ophthalmic hero, that would be Bob Osher. I was privileged enough to be able to work with Bob and study under Bob as both a medical student and resident at the University of Cincinnati. And his career has just been one of teaching, research, excellence in patient care, giving back. I don't think, he's respected or appreciated enough for his contributions for ophthalmology. He came out with the first ever video journal in any medical or surgical specialty, which continues to this day. It's undergone many sort of iterations in terms of name changes. But you look at where surgical education is taking place today: YouTube, Instagram, social media. These are things we just assume and take for granted today. But to be able to put that medium and format out for the first time, I think it was really big. And he was also one of the very early proponents, if not the first proponent, of going to these big meetings and showing off surgical complications so that everyone can chime in and learn from each other, so that hopefully those complications can go down with time. He's really been an innovator from the very beginning. He expanded Charlie Kelman's initial contraindications for phacoemulsification, taking cataract surgery beyond sort of those initial parameters. He introduced slow motion phacoemulsification. He introduced refractive cataract surgery with the introduction of astigmatic keratometry. He did one of the first hyperopic refractive lens exchange surgeries. So he's really just contributed to the profession in so many ways: surgical instrumentation, research, collaboration with peers. And, if I can, in 30, 40 years, look back in my career and see some element of that in my own career, I'll be really, really happy. So I really view Bob as my hero, and I feel absolutely blessed to be able to call him a mentor and a dear friend. I would just say again, I'm so grateful for the recognition. The email initially went to one of my emails that I don't check that often, and so I almost had to do a double take when I saw that there was an email from the Ophthalmologist and that you guys have put together a new power list for rising stars. I've always enjoyed looking at the annual power lists that have been coming out since 2014, and it's always fun to see familiar faces or mentors or friends up on the list and seeing them being recognized for their work. So again, thank you for the recognition. It's an honor.